All right, hey everybody, back here in my office, and we're gonna give results for the first poll we had here during our quarantine time, or shelter at home time, or being locked away working on our sanity time, whichever way you want to look at it. But the first poll was asking what music you're listening to, kind of trying to come up with a quarantine playlist. I believe, at least for me, and I think for a lot of you, music is a huge part of life and inspiration and kind of making it through times that are challenging. And so I think that's definitely going to be true in this season. And so I asked that question. I really appreciate different ones of you getting back to me about that. I think we put a poll on Instagram, and we also just put that out email wise. I'm hoping that more and more of you will get back to me on these different polls. I know this is just the first one, and maybe I didn't give quite enough detail on it because I got all different kinds of replies to this. But in the future, as we're doing this, I think it's just a fun way for us to kind of stay connected, and hopefully also be a good way to learn about some new things, whether it's music or games or movies, whatever it would be. Just some new ideas for all of us in this time. So there's kind of two different categories of what happened here as I threw that out for a quarantine playlist. In my mind, I was thinking kind of maybe more tongue-in-cheek or kind of like funny songs. Most of you kind of took it more the worship route, which I think is awesome. So I've got two different kind of top 10 or at least lists. My first list is kind of our worship playlist. So a lot of you sent in songs that you're listening to right now that are helping feed your spirit and your heart. And I think that is awesome. And so this is kind of the top 10 for that. The other thing that I want to say before I read this worship list is both of these playlists are on the Bridge Spotify account. So I know some of you maybe have that from when we were doing the series where we were looking at different songs, because I made some short playlists for that. But if you don't have it, we'll have a link for the Spotify account so that you can just find that way. And that has the playlist on there. You'll be able to listen to both of them. But this is the worship playlist that we have for our quarantine time. Most of these songs, it's about half and half, at least for me, of the songs that I actually knew and those that I didn't. But the first one makes sense during this time. A couple different people suggested this one, but it's the "You Make Me Brave" song by Bethel. I think that's one that we know, that we sing at church. So that's great. The second one on the list is actually the only. That's not true. I added a couple, but since I'm the one doing this, I can add as many as I want, I guess. But the song that I put on here is "Hang On to You" by Delirious, and so Delirious to me is like, I don't think there's ever been a worship band like them, and I'm not sure there ever will be a worship band like them, but check it out if you haven't listened to that. It's kind of an oldie, but hopefully a goodie. The next song is a song called "All I Need Is You," and this is by Hillsong. And Elma Beaudry sent this to me, and it was cool. She said that she really loves this song because it really helps remind her about how sufficient God is. And I believe, obviously, that's important for us in this time where so many things are kind of up in the air for us. And so thank you, Elma, for sending that in. Elma got a couple here on this list. The next song is another one that we do at church, and it's the "I Will Trust You" song by Chris Lizotte. It's awesome having Chris Lizotte in there. Actually, I threw another one of his in a little farther down, but that's one that we know, and so if you listen to that, that's one you can sing along with. We sing it on Sunday mornings. The next song is called "Symphony," and Mandy Moore gave this to me, and she said it's by Switch. I listened to the song. It's awesome. I had never heard it before, but Mandy said she just has this on repeat right now, and she loves it. And so thanks, Mandy, for sending that in. The next one is also another one we do at church, and this is "You Say" by Laura Dangle. And Jordan, my daughter, sent that one in. The next is a song called "The Goodness of God" by Bethel. Lynn Mossy sent this one in. She said she's been listening to this one a lot as she's going through her recovery process, and really feels like it applies to the situation that we're at right now. So check that one out. I had never heard that one before either. Actually, unless we do worship songs at church, I kind of don't know them. So this was a cool way to kind of hear some new ones. And this was another new one. This is a song called "Seasons Change" by United. Elma Beaudry also sent this one in, and she said, because of what we're going through at the time in the world, we need to stay grounded. And this song really does that for her and reminds her that Jesus is really our only answer. So check that one out. And then the last Chris Lizotte song, we get two Chris Lizotte's in here, but it's one called "Peace in the Middle of the Storm." It's one of my favorite ones that he does. And so I believe that it speaks to me. Hopefully it'll speak to you. My wife sent in one from Matt Mayer called "Lord, I Need You." And then the last song on the list was sent in by Marielle, and it's called "Rest in You," and it's by All Sons and Daughters. So maybe you're like me and half those songs you never heard of before, so it'll be a good chance for you to listen to some new songs. But if not, check it out too, because I think it'll just be a good way to remember and know what different people are listening to right now and what is inspiring them. So thank you for sending those in. That was kind of part one, our first playlist for our quarantine time or worship playlist. And now we'll get to the next. Okay, so now we're ready for the second playlist, and this would be the quarantine playlist. And this one I had fun with, and since most of you kind of went the worship route, I basically came up with this playlist. So either you'll look at it and be like, well, that's horrible and I don't want to listen to that music, or it'll be a good way for you to listen to some new music. I tried to have numerous different things on there, and it was fun to do. And also, I'm going to say this. A couple of you interpreted my question as kind of like what would be the one album that you'd want for quarantine. So some of you sent in full albums, which is awesome, and definitely going to be maybe an upcoming question or something like that. But this time I'm thinking just songs that we're creating a playlist for. For those of you that are older and you're not sure what a playlist is, it's like a mixtape, right? And so it's like when you used to record stuff on tape, multiple artists, multiple songs, and you'd give that to your girlfriend or whoever. That's what a playlist is. Just checking. I wasn't sure if everybody knew. So this list is going to be a little bit, some of it will be a little bit tongue-in-cheek and hopefully funny, and then some of the songs are maybe a little bit more serious. If you know me at all, you know music can really send me down some rabbit holes, and so there were so many different places we could go with this list, but I basically worked it down to a top 12. I couldn't even do a top 10. There's just too many good songs, and so I couldn't do it, but I got to a top 12. But before we get to the top 12, we have to do some honorable mentions for our quarantine playlist. There were some songs that really deserve to be here, but I had to be strict. And so songs like The Police doing "Don't Stand So Close to Me." I mean, that's a great quarantine playlist song right there. I also honorable mention would be Avril Lavigne's "Contagious." I think that's a good quarantine song. I'm sorry if any of you listen to this band. Joe might listen to this band, but Disturbed makes the honorable mention list with the song "Down with the Sickness." Right? We don't want to be sick right now. We want the opposite of that, which would be the next honorable mention with Bee Gees' "Staying Alive." So we might want to just put that song on repeat in this time, and you'll see why that just gets honorable mention. There's a song about staying alive that maybe is a little bit more impactful than that song. Okay, we've got a couple people, or at least a couple songs that made the honorable mentions, but also got into the actual top 12. And Soundgarden surprisingly had quite a few songs that you could use for a quarantine time. Black Hole Sun to me is just a great apocalyptic kind of song, so that one probably should have been in there. It's not. They also have a song called Room 1,000 Years Wide, which I think we probably all could use right now. Maybe a room that big, as we're in our quarantine time. That would be awesome. Beatles have to be in the honorable mention. They made the top 12 as well. But a song like Lucy in the Sky with Diamond just feels a little bit quarantine-ish to me. You've got Come Together, which I think would be great, except we're not supposed to be doing that right now. So it's the anti-quarantine song, maybe, or our hope for what's going to happen when we're done with our shelter-at-home time. And then, obviously, Sgt. Pepper and the Lonely Heart Band. Some of us are going to find ourselves lonely right now. And you know, the Beatles are a great way to spend your time if you are lonely. Another is Bill Withers, one of my ultimate favorites. I wanted to go with Lean on Me, but again, we're not supposed to do that right now. So that would be more the after quarantine playlist. But you'll see Billy made the list. All right, drum roll, and now we start with number 12, which is great because it starts with an earthquake. And that's pretty low-hanging fruit, I know, but no top 12 quarantine list could be. We couldn't have a list without REM. It's the end of the world as we know it, right? And so, again, low-hanging fruit, very easy, but it has to be on there. I don't know how you could exclude that one. Number 11. Now we have Soundgarden, and they're making the list with one of my favorite songs, even outside of quarantine time, is Rusty Cage. And I feel like a little bit we're all going to be feeling that way. The line in the song is, I got to break my rusty cage and run. And I think we all will feel that way after maybe just another more couple days on this quarantine. Number 10. I'm excited for this one. This one might take some people by surprise, and maybe a band that many of you haven't heard of. I know a couple of you out there have heard of it, maybe specifically Aaron Allen, Jessica Side, but Mute Math actually has a song called Quarantine, so you can't get any better. There's actually a better song called Quarantine we'll get to a little bit farther down on the list. But check that song out. Mute Math is an amazing band. For any of you that were only listening to Christian music at certain points of your life, that's members of the band called Ursuit. And so they reformed a band called Mute Math. And Quarantine's great song. Check it out again. It's on the playlist on Spotify.
Okay, there we go. Perfect. Guys, quick warning. I hate to be the one to say this, but Andrew, he's a liar. I'm not saying all the time, but for the next 30 seconds or so, he's lying. Trust me, you can probably just skip ahead in the video. Just don't listen to him. Okay. Enjoy your day.
All right, number 9. I needed a little bit of help on this one, and I got this from my daughters. But Beyonce's got to be on any list, right? And so we've got Beyonce, End of Time. I had never heard that song before. I know Joe listens to it all the time, and so he had to tell me about it. But there's a great line in there, and it's like, take you away from here, it's nothing between us but space and time. That sounds like quarantine, doesn't it, Joe?
It sounds awful.
Beyonce making the list at number 9. She cracked the top 10.
There you go.
Pretty good. Number 8. Yo, sound the bell. School's in, out. MC Hammer coming in at number 8. You can't touch this. You gotta have a little MC Hammer if you got a quarantine playlist. So MC Hammer number 8.
Didn't see that coming.
Can't touch this.
That one got me.
I love it. I like getting you. Number 7, now we've got the Beatles making it at number 7 with Yellow Submarine. That's maybe a good choice for us in quarantine. If you don't have a place that you can get away to, try a Yellow Submarine somewhere. It'll work. Number 6, we've got the great Bill Withers. One of my favorite artists. I think with any sort of quarantine playlist, you just need that bluesy, we got a couple songs like that maybe in this playlist. Again, Lean On Me, couldn't do it because we're not supposed to be touching each other, and so I went with Bill Withers' Lonely Town, Lonely Street. And if you've been driving around at all now, you know, our streets are rather lonely. So good quarantine playlist song right there. Okay, number 5, we've got a band called Phantom Planet. I don't know if many of you have heard of them before. They actually are not a band any longer, but they were a band that put out another song called Quarantine. I actually loved both the Quarantine songs, but I love this song. Been a fan of Phantom Planet, and I think this song is definitely, its message is about something else, but there's a lot to take from it. Give that one a listen. I think it'll be good. And now kind of for our last 4, we're kind of switching to maybe more meaningful songs possibly. And again, I've gotten a little help with this list, and you might be able to tell this is one of them. Number 4 would be Harry Styles. That's right, from One Direction, Harry Styles actually putting out music. You be the judge. But it's a song called Treat People with Kindness. Doesn't that sound nice? Something we should all be reminded of in these times. Number 3, again, you cannot have a top 12 list, let alone a top 10 list, without Mumford & Sons. And there were so many songs to pick from on this one, but I went with The Cave. And hopefully those of you that know Mumford will appreciate it. Those of you that don't know Mumford, here's your chance to listen to some Mumford. But Marcus brings the truth there in that song by saying, "Now let me at the truth, which will refresh my broken mind." And again, I think that's something that we will need to remind ourselves in this time of quarantine. Number 2, we're going to go back to some classic blues and R&B, and we're going to hit some Mavis Staples and Ben Harper singing "We Get By." And just will be an encouraging song in these times, and it's Mavis Staples and Ben Harper. How much better can you get than that? Number 1, and this is how you get better than Mavis Staples and Ben Harper. And of course, again, this list, you could say it's biased, and it is because I'm the one putting this together. You didn't give me quite enough suggestions. Any list of mine is definitely going to have some Pearl Jam on it, and Pearl Jam's definitely going to be the number 1 on that list. And so for our number 1 quarantine song, we've got Pearl Jam, Alive. And that is something we should all be singing this time. I'm still alive. You're still alive. That's good news. And again, I had a ton of fun with this. Hopefully you'll check it out. It's on Spotify. We'll put the link up there. Thanks for sending me some suggestions. And hopefully as we keep doing these polls, more and more of you will respond. And we'll just have some fun with this. It'll be a chance for us to connect. So thanks for watching. Hopefully thanks for listening to these songs. You can keep sending some in to me. Who knows how long this quarantine is going to go. So we may need to update the list a little bit. And I think we've kind of established we will need a list at the end of this quarantine time for us to celebrate the fact that we get to be around humans again. So send those in to me as well. Love you guys, and we'll do another video here soon.